The film opens with a scene where three siblings, two sisters and a brother, converge in their family's bathroom. Although they're of age to be considered adults, their attire lacks modesty, and their behaviors echo a childlike innocence. Physically mature, they nevertheless exhibit the simplicity and playfulness of children. Engrossed in a language lecture from a cassette tape, the youngest sister proposes a playful diversion, which her siblings readily embrace. In a subsequent scene, we encounter Christina, clad in a security uniform, seated in a car with a blindfold. Her relaxed interaction with the driver reveals her compliance in this mysterious journey. It is revealed that the man behind the wheel is the father of the trio we met earlier, intertwining their paths in an intriguing narrative twist. The father and Christina arrive at the house where the siblings live. There, the father leads Christina to the room of his son. He then leaves the two and lets them have sex. While the son and Christina make love, the entire act is devoid of any signs of intimacy or connection. Simply put, Christina is there to service the son of her employer. Later, while uncomfortable staying inside the household, Christina talks with the older daughter. The father then asks if he can film a video of them. Christina agrees. Moments later, the son joins them and the father continues to film the smiling faces of his children. Throughout that time, Christina only has an awkward look on her face. The father then pays Christina for her services and blindfolds her again before driving her home. Later that night, the siblings put on their best attire and prepare for their family dinner. At dinner time, each of the children requests a specific item from their father. The father then asks each of them about the stickers that they have. The son has the most stickers, the older daughter next, and the youngest has the least. The father congratulates the son for having the most stickers and winning the contest. As a reward for his victory, the son can choose the family's entertainment for that night. The son asked his father for a video, so he prepared one using their VHS player. The video wasn't a movie, but a home video that the father filmed some time ago. Being naive, the siblings found the video good enough for their entertainment. The son washes his father's car the next day, and then goes near the high fence after. He stares at the tall grass for a while, then speaks toward someone outside. It seems he's trying to compete with someone, asserting that he's better at washing his father's car. Shortly thereafter, he is caught hurling stones over a towering fence, an act witnessed by his parents who decide disciplinary action is necessary. In response, they oblige their son to use a potent mouthwash, insisting he retain it in his mouth for a full minute before allowing him to expel it. Meanwhile, the father, upon arriving at work, encounters Christina at the workplace entrance. Engaging in brief dialogue, they coordinate another visit based on their schedules. The father is meticulous about his home's privacy, crafting a narrative for his colleagues that portrays his wife as disabled and averse to visitors, all to prevent any unwelcome intrusions at his residence. Meanwhile, his daughters knock themselves out with chloroform as a game. They decide that the one who wakes up first will be the winner. Later that night, the older daughter eavesdrops on her mother and hears her talking with someone. As it turns out, the parents have a telephone, but they hide its existence from their children. After work that day, the father visits a dog training camp to get his dog back. The trainer denies him because the dog isn't ready yet. He visits his dog and sees that it does need more training. Before going home, the father goes through all the trouble of removing labels on his groceries. He does all these things to ensure that his children learn nothing about the outside world. Later that night, he has sex with his wife, during which both of them have headphones on. On Christina's next visit, she asks the son to give her oral sex. The son denies Christina's request in fear of his parents. After their session, a frustrated Christina asks the older daughter to give her oral sex for a headband that sparkles in the dark. Following Christina's example, the older daughter asks her sister to lick her shoulder and gives her the headband in exchange. One afternoon, the son plays with a toy airplane when the older daughter decides to fight and take it from him. The older daughter then decides to throw the toy outside. After that, she slashes her brother's arm with a knife and her mother punishes her for it. The younger sister tells her brother that the only way to get the toy back is to ask their father for help. When the father gets home later, his son asks him to retrieve the toy airplane. The father exits his car, merely driving a short distance from the gate to retrieve a toy. On a different occasion, the son encounters a cat in their garden, an unfamiliar sight that triggers a defensive and aggressive response. In a shocking turn, he opts to end the cat's life with garden shears, an act witnessed by his sisters from the safety of their home. The mother informs the father of this grim event. In a bizarre twist, the father arrives home later, having torn his clothes and adorned himself with fake blood. He spins a harrowing tale for his children, claiming a cat has slain their brother. Despite his valiant efforts to thwart the tragedy, he then embarks on a lesson about cats, instilling a baseless fear by declaring them the most perilous of creatures. He adds that they love to eat meat, especially those of children. He then teaches them to act like dogs to scare cats away in the future. After the intensive training, the family holds a funeral for the make-believe family member that died. A few days later, the parents announce that the mother is pregnant. They say that she'll give birth to twins and a dog. The children dislike this announcement because they don't want to share their rooms. The mother then says that if the children behave, she might change her mind about giving birth to the twins, but not the dog. One afternoon, the father places a few fish in their pool after coming home from work. Moments later, the younger sister finds the fish and tells her father about it. The father pretends to be unaware of it and takes out his harpoon to hunt the fish. While eating the freshly caught fish for dinner, the father asks the children to recite their house rules. According to their house rules, the children will only be allowed to leave the house if they lose their dog tooth. It's the time when their bodies will be strong enough to handle the outside world. After dinner, the father asks if the children want to listen to their grandfather's song, and they happily say yes. The father puts on a record, and the song that plays is "Fly Me to the Moon." As it turns out, the children believe that their grandfather is Frank Sinatra. Since the children can't understand English, the father translates the song's lyrics. Unfortunately, he translates it differently, implicating that the song is about family, love, and some other nonsense. On Christina's next visit, she asks the older daughter for oral sex again. This time, she'll give her a bottle of hair gel in exchange for the lickings. The older daughter argues that she wants the VHS tapes in Christina's bag instead. Christina refuses at first, but gives in after the older daughter blackmails her. Later that night, the older daughter watches the films she got from Christina. In the days that follow, she begins to replicate the actions she observed in the films. When her father uncovers her behavior, he subjects her to a severe reprimand, binding one of the VHS tapes to his hand. He uses it to repeatedly strike his daughter's head. Additionally, he confronts Christina at her residence, expressing his fury by destroying her VHS player in a similar, violent fashion. Before leaving her house, the father curses Christina. He adds that this is punishment for all the evil that Christina brought to his family. Since Christina is no longer allowed inside the house, the son no longer has a sexual partner. The parents worry about how to deal with the sexual urges of their son from that day forward. In the end, they decide to do the unspeakable, and that is to have one of their daughters handle the task. They let the son decide which one to go for, and he picks the older daughter. After their first sexual encounter, the older sister starts saying lines from one of the movies that she's watched. Using those movie lines, she tells her brother that she'll whip his guts out if he repeats what he's done to her again. The brother doesn't know how to respond to his sister. He just looked at her with a scared and confused look. On the day of their parents' wedding anniversary, the children are tasked with entertaining them. Before the evening festivities commence, the elder daughter confides in the younger one about her loose dog tooth. Upon inspection, the younger sister refutes this claim. As the celebration unfolds, the son strums the guitar, providing a melody for his sister's dance. However, it's not long before the younger daughter, fatigued, retreats to the parents' table, leaving her older sibling to dance solo. Unfazed, the elder daughter continues her dance, initially maintaining her quirky moves before a sense of ennui overtakes her enjoyment. She moves to flashier dance moves and continues with more aggressive dance steps. She dances like a madman for quite some time until her mother stops her. Later that night, the older daughter takes a dumbbell to the bathroom and smashes her teeth with it. After several painful and brutal attempts, she finally breaks her dog tooth off. She then looks at the mirror with a smile on her face. She believes that she's now ready to leave the house and be on her own, while the rest of the family is unaware. She rushes to her father's car and hides in the trunk. Meanwhile, the younger daughter goes to her father's bedroom and licks him. She was doing this in exchange for her father's harpoon gun. The father denies her request and proceeds to the bathroom after that. In the bathroom, the father notices the blood-filled sink. He then realizes something happened to the older daughter. Upon realizing his daughter is missing, the father initiates a search beyond their home's confines. Engulfed in the night's darkness, the entire family joins the frantic quest, navigating without the aid of flashlights. As the father persists in his search, a surreal transformation overtakes the rest of the family, who morph into dogs. Stationed at the gate, they bark vociferously, a canine course aimed at safeguarding the father from any potential feline threats. After giving up on the missing daughter, the parents have a short conversation over a glass of orange juice. Meanwhile, the son and younger daughter share a quick kiss before sleeping together. The next day, the father arrives at work, parks his car, and proceeds to enter the workplace without checking the trunk. The movie ends abruptly with the trunk of the car. Subscribe for more videos like this. Turn on notifications and leave a like. It really helps the channel.